This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shasheena Rolle. As always, it's so great to have you with us. Topping the news, urban renewal expanding its reach to the southern communities of Grand Bahama. The social outreach program officially opened a community center in that district today, and the minister responsible says they want to touch the lives of persons in need in that area. Megan Shepard has our top story.
Urban Renewal 2.0 opening a center in the Lewis Yard community on Friday morning, the 8th center for Grand Bahama. The facility is an integral part of the Urban Renewal program that is designed to positively impact and enrich the lives of residents in the various communities. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Urban Development, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, on hand for the official launch. He says the program is experiencing some success, and he hopes to see it expand to the point where persons no longer depend on it.
We are on a mission. This mission is a serious one for us, and one that we demonstrated our commitment to in our last term in office, and which we hope to continue to expand until we have found all aspects of need and help our sisters and brother citizens to find a way out of the need and into a more comfortable lifestyle. When we reach this happy day, we will then, of course, have to begin the process of retrenching our outreach programs, as there'll be far less need. We long for this day.
Deputy Director of Urban Renewal Michelle Rackley thanking all those who have remained committed to the program and have worked diligently to make it successful. She says over the past 15 months, she has seen firsthand some of the poor conditions that some residents live in and is happy to see the positive turnaround that Urban Renewal has helped to bring about for those homes and families.
I walk the street almost every day, and I'm faced with situations where I'm left to cry. Believe it or not, the situations that our brothers, our sisters, our little children has to go through day by day. It is very hard. Almost every time we turn on our radio or our TV, there are persons complaining about crime, wondering what are the methods, how can we tackle it. I'm a firm believer that until we reach the social ills of our country, crime will remain.
Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Dr. Michael Darville, says over the past 8 months, a number of partners have worked together to make the Lewis Yard Center a reality. He says they are committed to ensuring its success, especially for the youth of that community.
Ladies and gentlemen, my ministry, in conjunction with the Ministry of Works and Urban Development Social Services, we are committed to identifying and determining the number of persons living below the poverty level, whose dwelling homes lack the proper facilities, infrastructure integrity, and basic utilities. I am pleased to report that the Grand Bahama Urban Renewal Team have been visiting communities across this island, assessing families, bringing relief to the poor and the unemployed. This is a part of our administration plan to transform lives and to improve the living conditions for the less fortunate.
Minister for Foreign Affairs and Immigration, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, also taking part in the opening ceremony. He says the program will help to develop the future of the country.
The government thinks it's an important initiative, and I do as well, social intervention to try and make sure that the Bahamas develops along the way and that our younger people have a commitment to this country and its values. I was just saying to the public officials in our meeting a few minutes ago that from my own point of view, I'm committed to turning this country over to the younger people, committed to doing so. And I think Urban Renewal is part of that proposal and part of that program.
The center will be open to the public on Monday, September 16th. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Well, the country's debt is estimated to be well into the billions, and while the government is creatively looking for ways to generate funds, the introduction of a new tax is expected to lighten the load. During the Rotary's weekly luncheon meeting, a local accountant shared how the implementation of that tax can help to shrink the national debt. The national debt remains in the billions, and the government plans to implement a new tax to generate additional funds. Come 2014, consumers will be introduced to a value-added tax system where they will be required to pay taxes on goods and services. Accountant Kevin Seymour telling Rotarians that all existing tax fees and duties will remain in place, but at a reduced rate. So the question is, how much will VAT generate?
The first year with the implementation of the VAT, it is conservatively estimated that the VAT will generate an additional $200 million for the government, okay? And that is assuming that everybody pays when they're supposed to pay and there's not rampant fraud in the system.
But Seymour says the cost of goods and services will increase, and he believes this implementation of VAT tax will not stimulate investment.
The reason for this is that the prices charged to end users, particularly services provided by labor-intensive entities, will likely rise. Recognizing this, the government is seeking to ensure that the nation's #1 industry, tourism, remains competitive, will be abandoning the current 10% occupancy tax levied by hotels and replacing it with a 10% VAT. Now, hotels, at least so far, is the only industry that's going to benefit from a reduced VAT rate.
He believes if the government prudently managed the implementation of a value-added tax and resists the urge of spending, the country's deficit will shrink over time.
In my view, the implementation of the VAT provides the government with an excellent opportunity to hit the reset button and start down the road of fiscal prudence and balanced budgets. What should the government be doing to prepare businesses and consumers for that? The government's principal role and responsibility with respect to the levying of taxes and implementing tax reforms are to ensure that taxpayers are consulted beforehand and the laws and regulations governing taxes are properly codified and made available to the public in a timely manner.
And the government hopes to wrap up the entire process of formulating the legislation and regulations that will govern value-added tax in the Bahamas by the end of the month. In other news, accused sex offender Andre Burbal appeared in the Court of Appeal today. The 50-year-old Trinidadian was expected to ask the court for an extension of time to the appeal to the Privy Council about this case. However, he changed his mind and withdrew the application instead. Burbal was serving a 35-year prison term for having sex with 2 of his underage male students on Grand Bahama 13 years ago. However, the appellate court quashed his conviction sentence and ordered a retrial. That retrial is expected to open on October 7th before Senior Justice John Isaacs. Meantime, Burbal remains behind bars at Fox Hill Prison. Stay with us. There's more news right after this.